Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. We're continuing our election preview interviews, and today we have a candidate for County Council at large, Bradley Gillis. Welcome, Brad.
Hey, Greg. How are you doing?
So, Brad, why do you want to run for County Council?
My boys, my family, and my community. That is the reason. And every day that I drop them off at Pinehurst Elementary School, I realize that we are in a position of service, and with all of our community engagement that we have with many businesses in the community, I felt like I was in touch with some of the needs of our county, and wanted to give it a shot.
You're in a unique position, personally and professionally, but personally, as a young family, we don't have anyone on the county council who matches sort of the credentials that you have that way.
Good point. It's I think from what I'm learning, being on the campaign trail, it's a tough balance. Having the time and balancing the schedule and showing up to all the great community events, in addition to football practice, baseball games, the after-school events, the trick-or-treats, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It gives me a unique perspective on the community, whether it's as a business owner or as a community advocate and past president of the Chamber of Commerce. And also having my mom as a public school teacher and my dad as an entrepreneur, I feel like I'm well-rounded and can serve the community really well.
And the schools are probably even more important to you than most anyone, because you've got kids that are really going to be subjected to whatever the school system puts before them.
Yeah, great point. So I was that kid. I was that student going around North Salisbury Elementary School before school and after school, because my mom taught third grade. Since childhood, I've had a unique perspective on public school education, and was adamant about making sure that my boys had that same experience that I did. And I'm hopeful that once elected, I can be a part of some really dynamic change in our community, especially for our public schools. By far, public schools are one of the best assets that we can have in a community, and I think we can do better. I think we have the leadership in place at the board to do better, and I'm looking forward to supporting that leadership.
You have sort of a high wire business in terms of developing in the area. Your family's been very committed to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you also committed to Salisbury? It seems like you could practice your trade anywhere, but you've remained really targeted on Salisbury.
That's a great point. Salisbury's home. So we feel very passionate about our home, and this is my backyard. I feel I know the community and all parts of Wicomico County. So having my base is Salisbury, and then also going around in and out of the community, and the Sharptowns and the Hebrons and the Pittsvilles and the Willards, those communities are in just as much need as Salisbury, and I'm looking forward to serving them.
When you watch County Council on PAC 14, anything strike you? Do you think, wow, I would do that differently, or they do that well? What are your feelings about how they do their jobs?
Having a career in commercial real estate, we tend to take risk, and those are measured risk, and they have a return on investment. And I think that on County Council we have not made risk. We have not had risk in this community, and it's time that we challenge each other and make some bold decisions. What those bold decisions are, one specific topic could be sewer. We have a health crisis going on right now in our community with well and septics. We have septic systems that are failing across the community. We are the only county in the state of Maryland that does not have a sanitary district. There's many other discussions. If you think about fire and EMS, we have not had a bold discussion that involved risk about a countywide service. Across our county and across our community, there are struggling fire departments and struggling EMS. So I think it's time to step up leadership is, I think, the biggest differentiator. So with my perspective, as a mother, that my mom was a public school teacher, my dad's an entrepreneur, and as a business owner myself with 2 boys in public school, I have a unique perspective, and I'm willing to take those risks and have those very engaging, dynamic conversations with all of the with other fire departments, the law enforcement, all of the folks that are stakeholders within the sanitary districts, et cetera.
Under the county executive form of government, it's in the last 16 years that we've had this, it's been difficult for the council really to promote a lot of visionary stuff. That stuff seems to come from the county executive, and then the council gets on board.
Good point.
So how, with this, we're going to have a new county executive, so everything's going to be different, but how do you want to try to get your ideas up and get them, acknowledged by the county executive so you can make some progress?
Sure. Our county, if I remember correctly, was formed in 1867. So the executive form of government is relatively new to us, even though it's this will be 16 plus years going into the experiment that we've called executive form of government. So I think as a community, we're still trying to figure this out, quite honestly. That's why there's 10 ballot questions in regards to our charter on the ballot November 8th. It's going to start with an aligned vision, and that's going to be working together. On our campaign, you've seen us. We work with both Democrats and Republicans, and that's what it's going to take to have that aligned vision that's going into the community and sharing and listening and seeing what that aligned vision looks like. It's not my vision; it's our vision, and that's something we're going to have to work together with whoever the county executive is.
I know you're out there right now going door to door. You're going to a lot of events. What are people telling you?
That's a great question. They are engaged. The community is engaged. They know that there's an election coming up. They, as a body, are very appreciative of us stopping by and talking to the folks. We're going door to door later today and at various events and council meetings and et cetera. So the community, the citizenry, are interested in law enforcement. They're interested in fire, EMS. They're also interested in public safety, public works. They're interested in leadership. And I think that I bring leadership to the table with all the various businesses that we own and operate. I'm really excited to bring our skill sets and vision to the community. So far, we've been well received. I'm a novice at this, so I'm doing a lot of listening, and the topics are various. One that's kind of interesting. It's a rabbit hole, but is what do we do about these ATVs and these dirt bikes running around the community? And that seems to be not only a local issue but a state issue. So that's one that seems to be talking a lot, but it's various topics.
One of your businesses is Crown Sports, which has been a fixture in this community for kids and families forever. You're the latest in the continuation of that. What has that taught you, that thing?
Well, it's honestly a lot of fun. We purchased Crown Sports Center in 2021 from Bill Hearn. We're going on our second season, this winter soccer season. It's a community center. In many cases, Wycomico County does not have an indoor recreational center. Crown Sports Center serves as our indoor recreational center. So for the next 3 or 4 months, going into 2023, we're going to be at our peak season. I saw an opportunity to engage in the community with that property. Bill Hearn, it was in transition, and we engaged with him. And we're fortunate to purchase this property in April 2021. If I think back on it, I did it for both our community and our kids. We as 40-something-year-olds have children that are that age, and they're going in and out of Crown all the day, every day. So it's very much a lifestyle decision. It's been a lot of fun. There is a lot of dialogue in regards to how to run and operate an indoor sports facility. But it's at the end of the day, it really truly is community engagement, and it's just one way that we interact with the community.
You all and your family as developers have had a vision for downtown Salisbury for a long time that I think is lacking on the county council, that people don't really know how to connect
Sure.
with Salisbury in terms of its entity, or they don't really connect with it somehow. There's one council person who represents the majority of Salisbury.
Yeah.
The at-large people certainly do. But what do you think about what's going on in Salisbury, and how can the county and the city work better together?
Seek balance. So that goes back to the aligned vision. We talked earlier about aligned vision with the county executive. If we can also have aligned vision with all of our towns and villages and also cities that are inside of Wycomico County, I'm sure we can share more and agree on more than we disagree on. At the end of the day, a city, whether it's Fruitland, Del Mar, or Salisbury, the metro core is a different person. I mean, that citizen, that person who lives in the city, desires different services, and that's the reason that they live in the city. And so I think we can find ways to cooperate, and whether that's through tourism or whether that's through economic development. A good one would be a robust airport. Everyone wants to see a robust airport in our community, whether they live in the city or just in the county limits. So also fire and EMS. There is a lot of cooperation that happens with both the city and also neighboring fire departments, and they cooperate and they have that brotherhood all day long. So I want to continue to see that and engage with that. I hope that we can find ways to work together in both all the public services that are around.
You're one of the people who taught me about this idea of infill development.
Yeah.
The idea that you develop within the city rather than spread out. I count on you as one of the people, as a reporter, that I can talk to about planning and zoning issues, because you really do know this. How are you going to apply that in your county council service?
Sure. That goes back to engaging or not engaging, but maintaining our agricultural heritage. So there's certain places in our community, in our county, that we should really focus in on growth, and that's where infrastructure exists. So that's where water and sewer is. That's where the roads are. That's where your schools are. All your public services. So we want to make sure that we continue to focus in on infill development and also smart growth to not only grow appropriately where infrastructure is, but to also maintain our agricultural heritage. So hopefully as a county council person, we can identify ways to work with planning and zoning and all of our surrounding towns and villages to find a master plan, if you will, as to how to work together.
There's so many things that we want to do in the county. The airport, we've got to fund the Kerwin Commission stuff, the improvements in education. We've talked about a growing need for volunteer fire services, emergency services, that the county might have to at some point pay more for that. We're going to need more revenue, or can we get it through efficiencies? Do we need to look at revenues? We're sitting on a $50 million rainy day fund right now, reserve. Any thoughts about the finances?
Sure. So reserves, absolutely. We have top-notch reserves, and if there's a way that we continue to have those top-notch reserves, we should keep it. If we should also look at spending some of those reserves. I think that's a fair question that we should look at. Increasing revenue. So we're currently under a revenue cap. Should we have a very robust discussion about that revenue cap? Yes, I think we should. One of the fears, if you will, is a person that's on fixed income. How do they fund additional revenue to the county? They shouldn't. Period. So majority of our residents that live in Wycomico County that are on fixed income, that live in their primary residence, I would say have a high probability of having a homestead tax credit. So their assessments are capped and their taxes are capped on their primary residence. So any taxes that would be increased potentially through a revenue discussion would be on the commercial properties, people like myself. I think it's time to have that discussion. And a tax cap is something that we should look at. I think for folks that voted on the revenue cap, I've heard many times they didn't know they were voting on a revenue cap.
Right.
So they thought it was a tax cap. So I think it starts with that, again, going back to that aligned vision. Where do we want to go as a community, and then how do we want to pay for it? Raising taxes is never something that someone wants to do. And I'm not proposing that, but what I am proposing is a discussion on how to best do it, and should we ebb toward a tax cap? Potentially, but that involves a community discussion after the election.
Right. All right, give us your 1-minute pitch. Why should we vote for you to be on the county council?
Oh man, 1 minute or less. So quite honestly, I mean, I'm sincerely, I tell every time I go to an event, I tell Kim I'm energized. I tell my wife I loved going to it, and I'm very passionate about our community. I love where we live. I'm invested, quite honestly, more than the average person. I thoroughly enjoy my community. I want to see our boys be proud of where they live. I want to make my mom happy and proud of the school system. As a son of an entrepreneur, I want to continue to find ways to integrate ways that we think as entrepreneurs into county government. And I think I think I'm qualified. I can make decisions. I'm a leader of multiple companies that employ nearly 200 people. So I have the ability, I have the desire, and I have the time. And I'm honestly stoked to have the opportunity to run, and hopefully come November 8th, we have a seat at the table.
He's Brad Gillis. He's running as a Democrat for Wycomico County Council at large, and we're thrilled he had time to be with us here today. Thanks so much, Brad.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Be sure and catch all of our interviews with candidates for our election on the PAC 14 YouTube page.